some people have such an attachment to their self-image, to how they feel about themselves, and they're so sensitive, meaning that and they're so averse and afraid of pain, and they're also so attached to their social image and how they perceive others view them and feel about them, that they become, and they so want to be a good person. They so want to be a good parent. They so want to be a good wife or a good husband or a good child or a good student or a good worker, that all those things combined, all of those attachments of ego combined, create an inability to learn, a learning disability. Meaning when people feel those things, and if you need to remember them again, just replay this video. When they have those attachments, they are unable to become aware of their parts and patterns, to become aware of their tendencies, to become aware of things they've said and done that were perhaps not optimal, perhaps not caring, perhaps not loving, perhaps not gentle, perhaps not effective. They become unable to recognize their parts and patterns, to recognize their non-optimal tendencies, to recognize their blind spots and their obscurations. Because if they're so busy being attached to their self-image and social image and being a good person and being perceived as a good person and seeing themselves as a good person and being seen to be a good person, that they become unable to accept and acknowledge and realize when perhaps they've been fearful or judgmental or short-sighted or narrowly focused or unkind or perhaps self-centered in a way. They become unable to realize that. In fact, they don't even look for it. In fact, they suppress any such signs because it hurts them so much to even consider that they could have in some way not been a good parent or a good person or a good anything. Their ego becomes so fragile, and their job becomes to protect their ego. And this is a trap in life. It's something that prevents us from evolving, from becoming more conscious, from becoming conscious of the subconscious parts and patterns that we have that prevent us from enjoying our life the most, from having the most optimal relationship with others, with our kids, with our work, with our colleagues. And really it is those parts and patterns of ours that stand between us and our inner peace, that stand between us and our success, that stand between us and our joy and love for life. And so it's a very sort of big and sticky trap for people to fall into when they become unwilling, because they're so afraid and sensitive and in so much pain, when they become unwilling to become aware of those things, of their non-optimal parts and patterns that they could heal and release if only they were willing to become aware of them. If you're not willing to become aware of something, then it can't be really, I mean, of course, anything can happen, and there's divine guidance all the time, and we are given a fair degree of free will. And so without that awareness, how can we then intervene on our own behalf? How can we consciously intervene and and heal and clear and release and change. So a lot of very intentional people, a lot of very of meditators are in relationships with people like this, and it's a great source of pain for the meditator who does try to change, who does try to become more self-aware, even of parts and patterns that don't bring them a sense of status or safety, parts and patterns that perhaps might be difficult to look at, that might be fearful or judgmental. A lot of meditators do try to become self-aware of those parts and patterns that they have so that they can then clear them and heal them. And there's a lot of other people that just aren't interested in that at all. And these people are usually stuck because sometimes they even think that they are not sensitive. They call other people sensitive. When anyone reacts to their parts and patterns, they call the other person, the person reacting, the person that feels hurt, they call them sensitive without actually reflecting on the dynamics, without deeply introspecting. And for such people, it's like they've built a castle around their ego to protect their ego. The unfortunate trap of this is that it prevents them from even accessing it and seeing it and understanding it and becoming aware of it. The ego is optimally something that we can become fully self-aware of and heal, not something that we put, not something that we try to protect with fortified walls and gunships and often when you try to give feedback to someone like this, to a parent like this or a partner like this, they get angry or upset. They defend, you see, because they're defending their ego. So they'll literally lash out at you and say you're sensitive or that's not true, and they won't hear you. And I do recommend that as a practice, because everyone does this to some degree, even if you are a meditator. And even if your parent was like this, or your partner is like this, like what I'm describing, that they are unwilling to sort of become self-aware and look at their ego, it's likely that you still have ego, maybe less than others, and still do, and that those parts of your ego also have tendencies to defend themselves. And whenever you get feedback from others about those parts of your ego, it's likely that some part of you will try to deflect or deny or avoid or reject the information. Just like those people that really heavily defend their ego do. Because this is just a quality of ego, not a positive quality, just a quality, neutrally speaking. And so it's important that we are patient and that we respect people who are there. Because if we try to break through that, it can be very challenging. And I'm not saying it can't be broken through. You can help someone work through this trap. You can help someone become aware that it is that they're in that trap, and you can learn to communicate to them and to reach them. Some people more than others. Some people absolutely are not willing to do self-reflection and receive feedback. And most importantly, use this video to become aware of any parts of you that have been averse to feedback, have been unwilling to look at your parts and patterns, because any such part of you that is unwilling to look at your ego and your parts and patterns is only limiting you. It's only preventing you from becoming aware of things that you could then consciously heal, clear, and release, and then you could then live a life enjoying the benefits of life without those parts and patterns, which means usually more inner peace, joy, and loving relationships. I hope this video was helpful, and I wish you the best on your journey.